I want you to do something for a second. Right now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, take a mental step back.
Just like a deliberate pause.
Yeah, exactly. And intentionally put aside your name. Just drop it entirely. Now, put aside your job title. Let go of your relationships.
Like whether you're a parent or a sibling or, a best friend.
Right. Completely strip away every single one of those external labels. And when you do that, when you peel back all those layers of identity that you present to the world, look inward. Once all those definitions are just completely gone, who is actually left? Like, what is the thing actually looking out through your eyes?
I mean, it induces a kind of existential vertigo when you actually pause to sit with that inquiry.
It really does.
Because we spend decades constructing those identities, right? Reinforcing those labels, defending them. We operate under this unquestioned assumption that the sum total of those societal and personal roles is exactly who we are.
Yeah, we think that's the whole picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So stripping them away leaves you staring into a very uncomfortable void.
And navigating that specific void, answering that fundamental question of who am I, is really the core mission of our deep dives today.
It's a huge question.
It is. We are exploring the ancient philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, but we're coming at it through a really fascinating, highly structured, modern lens.
Right. The materials from Alpesh Shah.
Yes, we're looking at a stack of his materials, which includes an 8-week course outline, a really rigorous 30-day self-inquiry program, and a series of scripts meant for a YouTube series.
And what's great is that instead of just, reading ancient texts dryly, these sources are designed to be an experiential toolkit.
Yeah, they want you to actively deconstruct your everyday assumptions, to isolate the absolute truth of the observer inside you.
To frame this effectively, we have to look at the central diagnosis these materials present.
The core problem, basically.
Right. The overarching premise in Advaita Vedanta is that nearly all of human suffering, the chronic anxiety, the alienation, the fear of death, it doesn't actually stem from the world being inherently broken.
Which is how we usually feel, right? That the world is just wrong.
Exactly. But they argue it stems from a profound case of mistaken identity. We suffer intensely because we believe ourselves to be a localized, vulnerable object rather than recognizing our true nature.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if we assume you, the listener, are already somewhat familiar with the non-dual framework of Advaita, we don't need to spend an hour defining basic terms.
Yeah, we can skip the textbook definitions.
Right. We know the philosophical bedrock relies on Shankaracharya's 3 pillars. The Brahman is the only reality, the world is an illusion or mithya, and the individual is not separate from Brahman.
Those are the core rules of the game.
I want to zero in on how Shah's material actually operationalizes this. Like, how do these sources explain the mechanics of that illusion?
That is the big question.
I mean, how does an infinite, unchanging reality manage to convince itself it's a stressed-out middle manager sitting in traffic?
That's the crux of the issue, yeah.
Yeah.
And the texts point directly to the concept of Maya. Now, instead of just defining Maya as just simply illusion, the 30-day program delves into how it functions mechanically.
Like the actual gears of it.
Right. Maya is the projecting power of consciousness. Think of it as having 2 distinct phases. First, it veils the truth. It covers up the infinite nature of reality.
Okay, so it hides the real picture.
Yes. And second, it projects a localized, fragmented reality over it. So you aren't just ignorant of being Brahman, you actively believe you are a finite body-mind complex.
Wow, so it's a double whammy.
Exactly. And the crucial third pillar of this philosophy is that because your suffering is based on ignorance, liberation cannot come from a gradual step-by-step path of self-improvement.
Because self-improvement just polishes the finite identity.
Precisely. You were just decorating the illusion at that point. Liberation, according to these sources, only comes from direct, immediate knowledge, a radical shift in perspective.
I have to push back here, though.
Go for it.
Because this is where my practical brain always hits a wall with strict non-duality. The texts claim the world is a mithya, a projected illusion.
Right.
But if I'm walking through my house in the dark and I brutally stub my toe on a wooden coffee table, that physical pain is undeniable.
Oh, it is intensely real.
Yeah. The swelling is real. The throbbing is real. It doesn't feel like a philosophical projection. So how does this framework reconcile the claim that the world is an illusion with the visceral reality of physical pain?
That's a very fair point.
And furthermore, how can it claim there's no gradual path to stopping that suffering?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources deploy the classic rope snake analogy to address that exact friction between philosophical illusion and, visceral experience.
Okay, lay it on me.
Imagine walking down a dim, dusty path at twilight. You look down and suddenly see a cobra coiled on the ground, ready to strike.
Terrifying.
Exactly. Notice what happens in your body. Your adrenal glands dump cortisol. Your heart rate spikes to maybe 150 beats per minute. Your palms sweat. The fear and the physiological response are completely 100% real.
A genuine survival reflex. My body is legitimately reacting to a threat.
Right. Then someone walks by with a bright flashlight and sweeps the beam across the path. In a fraction of a second, you see it's not a snake at all. It's just an old, frayed piece of rope lying in the dirt.
Oh, wow.
The moment that light hits the object, the snake completely vanishes from your mind. The terror you felt was entirely real, but the object that caused it never actually existed.
That is wild.
Your mind projected the threat onto a neutral reality. In this analogy, the rope is Brahman, the raw data of reality. The snake is the world. The mythia, the narrative, and meaning your mind overlays onto that raw data.
That makes a lot of sense. So in the case of the stubbed toe, the raw nerve signal, like the sensation of pressure and physical response, is just the rope.
Yes.
It's just sensory data occurring in consciousness. But the snake is the narrative my mind instantly spins up. Like, I am clumsy, this table is in a stupid place, my day is ruined, I'm going to lose my toenail.
Exactly. The suffering is the projection, not the raw sensation.
And that ties directly into why liberation is immediate rather than gradual, doesn't it?
It does. You don't escape the terror of the snake by going to therapy for 10 years to negotiate with it. You don't practice positive affirmations to convince yourself the snake is friendly.
You just turn on the flashlight.
Yes. The moment direct knowledge illuminates the reality of the rope, the illusion of the snake collapses instantly. And in this program, the flashlight is self-inquiry.
So the practical challenge is, how do we turn on that flashlight?
Right. How do we actually do it?
Because looking at Shah's 30-day program, it doesn't start by having you meditate on the infinite cosmos or try to imagine Brahman. It actually takes a deeply subtractive approach.
It's very systematic.
Yeah, it's an experiential process of systematic de-identification. It forces you to prove what you are not, starting with the most obvious target.
The physical body.
Yep.
The program demands you don't just read the words, but that you physically sit down and run the inquiry. It asks you to feel the weight of your body in the chair, the sensation of breath in your lungs, and seriously ask, am I this flesh?
It's confronting.
And it uses a brilliant thought experiment to sever that identification. It asks you to locate your childhood body.
Oh man, that inquiry stopped me in my tracks.
It's a trippy one.
It really is. Think about the physical body you had when you were 7 years old. The size of your hands, the specific cells, the organs. Biologically speaking, that body is gone.
Completely replaced.
It has been entirely metabolized, shed, and replaced. It literally no longer exists. Yet if you close your eyes and feel your internal sense of I am, that base hum of simply existing, it feels exactly the same today as it did when you were 7.
Take that a step further. If the physical form has been completely swapped out, but the observer of the form has remained perfectly continuous, then the observer cannot be the form.
They can't be the same thing.
The text distills this into a powerful maxim. I have a body does not equal I am the body. The body is merely a dense object appearing in your awareness. You are the subject watching it.
Okay, so if I'm not the flesh and bone because it's transient, the immediate pivot is to the internal world. Like, I am my personality, I am my memories, I am my intellect.
That's where the mind usually hides next.
Yeah, those things feel fundamentally like me. But the source material is absolutely relentless here. It takes the exact same subtractive magnifying glass to the mind.
It really does. When the program turns to the mind, it asks you to watch your thoughts the way you might watch traffic on a highway.
Just cars passing by.
Exactly. A thought arises. I am feeling so anxious about this deadline. And then an hour later, a different thought arises. I am relieved the project is over. The inquiry asks, which of those I statements is the real you?
Neither of them. Because if you were the anxiety, you would cease to exist the moment the anxiety passed.
Exactly.
The source material uses the metaphor of clouds in the sky, and I think we can build on that to make it even more visceral. Think of your mind like the atmosphere over a mountain range.
Okay, got this.
A brutal, violent thunderstorm can roll in. Lightning, hail, ferocious winds. That's your anger, your grief, or your panic. It is loud and undeniable.
You can't ignore it.
No, you can't. But the sky itself, the infinite space containing the storm, is completely untouched. The sky doesn't get wet. It doesn't get bruised by the hail. It just passively holds the weather until the weather inevitably moves on.
That perfectly illustrates the core realization of this stage. The text states it bluntly. Thoughts come, I do not come.
Thoughts come, I do not come. Wow.
You are the empty space in which the cognitive weather appears. You are the one watching the anger burn, which fundamentally proves you cannot be the anger. If you can observe your mind, you are not your mind.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because if we follow this logic all the way down, crossing off everything that changes, I am not the body, I am not the emotional weather, I am not the memories. What exactly is this sky that remains?
What is left at the bottom of the barrel?
Exactly. What is the actual nature of the thing looking out through my eyes right now?
In the Advaita framework, this remaining essence is called the Sakshi, the witness consciousness.
The Sakshi.
Yes. And the most radical thing about the witness is its absolute passivity. It never acts. It never gets involved in the drama of your life. It never judges.
It just watches.
It is the silent, luminous, unchanging background of every single experience you had ever had from the moment you were born.
Wait, I have to stop you there.
Sir.
If my deepest, truest self is just a passive, silent sky that never does anything, isn't that just a recipe for total nihilism or apathy?
Ah, the classic trap.
Yeah, because why should I care about paying my mortgage or nurturing my relationships or participating in society if my true essence is just staring blankly at the wall of consciousness?
This raises a very important question, and it's a super common trap in non-dual studies. Recognizing yourself as the witness does not mean the body and mind stop acting.
The weather doesn't stop.
Exactly. The storm still rains, you still go to work, you still laugh with your spouse, you still chop wood and carry water. The difference is the attachment to the outcome. You are no longer tyrannized by the events of your life because you don't mistake them for your identity. You participate fully in the movie, but you never forget you are the screen.
That distinction is crucial. It's not about becoming numb. It's about becoming untouchable.
That's a great way to put it.
There's a self-inquiry worksheet in Shah's materials that pushes this concept of the witness into really profound territory using the phenomenon of dreaming.
Yes, the dream state analysis.
When you are asleep in bed, your mind generates an entire universe. There is gravity, there are other people, there is danger, and most importantly, there is an I experiencing that dream.
A fully fleshed out avatar of you.
Right. And while you are in it, that reality feels 100% absolute.
It feels absolute right up until the second your alarm goes off.
Right.
The dream universe collapses instantly, and you realize the entire world, including the dream version of your body, was just a projection happening inside consciousness.
It's wild how the mind does that.
It is, and the worksheet then pivots and asks the really heavy question, how can you be absolutely certain that this waking reality, like sitting here listening to this deep dive, isn't just a denser, more sustained projection?
The text points out that there is only one constant. The eye that observed the terror of the dream snake is the exact same eye that is currently observing the waking world.
Never blinks.
No, it doesn't. The environments swap out, the states of consciousness shift from waking to dreaming to deep sleep, but the witness remains unbroken.
Which brings us to the culmination of the philosophical framework. The course materials introduce the Mahavakya, the great foundational declaration of Advaita Tat Tavam Asi, or you are that.
You are that.
It means the witness looking out through your eyes is not a fragmented individual soul. It is the very fabric of reality itself. It is Brahman.
The seeker is the sought. The consciousness you are using to look for answers is the answer itself.
Boom. Exactly.
But again, I want to pull this down from the philosophical stratosphere and anchor it in the dirt of human existence.
Back to the stub toes.
Right. Let's say I logically grasped Tat Tavam Asi. What does that actually look like on a random Tuesday when someone completely disrespects you in a meeting, or you are stuck in gridlock traffic and running late for something critical?
What's fascinating here is that Shah's course specifically builds in an entire module week 7 called Living Advaita. It anticipates this exact friction.
Because life still happens.
Right. It's not about staying in a meditative trance. Let's take the example of being disrespected in a meeting. A colleague insults your work. Immediately, a massive spike of heat and anger blooms in your chest.
Oh yeah, the blood pressure goes up.
The mind starts racing with counterattacks. But the course challenges you to use that exact moment of friction as a bell of mindfulness. Pause and ask, Who is actually angry right now?
Is the body angry? Is the empty sky angry?
If you trace the anger back, you see it's just a weather pattern appearing in the sky. The ego feels threatened and the body reacts. But if you hold your ground as the witness, the Sakshi, the anger becomes an object you are observing, rather than a state you are trapped in.
You separate from it.
Yes. The profound breakthrough the text emphasizes here is the situation changes, I don't.
The situation changes, I don't. That is an incredibly potent anchor. You aren't suppressing the anger. You aren't forcing yourself to think positive thoughts about the colleague.
You don't have to pretend everything is fine.
Right. You are simply watching the physiological storm happen, knowing it has no power to alter the sky.
However, there's a massive trap built into this process. And the 30-day program issues what it calls an honest truth warning.
Oh, warning. Okay.
It cautions that the human intellect is notoriously tricky. As you study these materials, as you map out the rope snake analogy and understand the witness, your mind will attempt to co-opt the teaching.
How so?
Your ego will essentially put on a spiritual costume and declare, I finally understand Advaita Vedanta. I am the witness. I am enlightened.
Because the mind loves to collect concepts and turn them into trophies.
It absolutely does.
But the mind cannot understand the witness, because the mind is merely an object the witness is watching. You can't use a flashlight to illuminate the battery inside the flashlight.
That is a great analogy.
The program is brutally clear that this isn't about achieving a new elevated state of consciousness. It's not an acquisition. It is an act of total surrender.
The text suggests that the genuine markers of integration are not grandiose. You don't suddenly vibrate with cosmic energy or speak in riddles.
You know, levitating.
Sadly, no. The markers are profoundly quiet. A noticeable reduction in the need to speak, a persistent internal stillness regardless of external chaos, and a thinning of the ego's need to defend itself.
So what does this all mean? I mean, look at our current situation. We have to acknowledge the glaring irony of what we are doing right now.
I know where you're going with this.
We are executing an entire deep dive, using a ton of words, utilizing countless metaphors, and generating an immense amount of intellectual noise to explain a philosophy that ultimately dictates the highest truth is found in absolute silence.
It is a pretty hilarious paradox, yeah. It is the ultimate paradox of spiritual instruction. You must use the thorn of the mind to extract the thorn of ignorance, and then you throw both thorns away.
Throw them both out.
You use words to point toward the silence. But Shaw's materials navigate this paradox beautifully when discussing the concept of liberation in Week 8.
Okay, Week 8.
We have been conditioned to view enlightenment as the summit of a grueling, decades-long climb. We view ourselves as bound prisoners who must earn our freedom through rigorous spiritual labor.
But the non-dual approach shatters that entire timeline.
Utterly. The text emphasizes that the ultimate realization is not that you have finally achieved liberation.
Then what is it?
The realization is that you were never bound to begin with.
Wow.
The body is subject to disease and death. The mind is subject to confusion and neurosis. But the witness, the Sakshi, has never been entangled.
Because it's just the screen.
Exactly. It cannot be bound by the world any more than a movie screen can be burned by a fire in a movie. Therefore, you are not traveling toward freedom. You are simply recognizing the freedom that is already your fundamental nature.
We have mapped out some incredible territory today. We looked at how Shaw's sources frame our daily suffering as a symptom of misidentification.
The mistaken identity.
Right. We examined the projecting power of Maya and how turning on the flashlight of inquiry instantly collapses the illusion of the snake.
The rope and the snake.
We physically stripped away the transient nature of our childhood bodies and the passing storms of our minds to isolate that silent, unchanging sky. The witness. And ultimately, we hit the paradox that there is nowhere to arrive because the seeker is already the sought.
And the true value of these materials is that they don't leave you with mere philosophy. They give you a real-time mechanism for suffering.
A practical tool.
Yes. The next time you feel the grip of anxiety or the heat of frustration or even acute physical discomfort, don't immediately try to fix it. Use it.
Turn it into an inquiry.
Let it be the trigger that forces you to step back into the sky and ask, who is the one aware of this feeling?
It's a complete inversion of how we normally operate. Before we wrap up, we want to give you a very tangible way to practice this, an aha moment drawn straight from the self-inquiry protocols we've been discussing. It's about finding the physical sensation of the ego.
Exactly. Later today, when you have 5 minutes of quiet, sit down and close your eyes. Try to locate the exact physical sensation of your ego, that tight, localized feeling of me.
Where does it usually sit?
Often it feels like a subtle pressure behind the eyes or a tightness in the chest. Don't judge it, just observe it as a physical sensation. Then ask yourself, if I can feel this tightness, if I can observe this sensation of me, then what is the vast silent space that is doing the observing?
Keep looking for the boundary. Where exactly does the watcher end and the watched begin? If you look closely enough, you might find that the boundary was just another snake in the dark. Keep looking.